guys, welcome back to another video. Today is a rant video, my favorite type! Today I'm going to be doing a why a character deserves better. I haven't done one of these in a while. The last one I did was Dracula. I've done one for Lucy Westenra, and of course Evil Ed. Evil Ed is definitely the one that I feel the most strongly about because he deserves better. Today is another character that I believe deserves better. Recently, I have been obsessed with Dark Shadows. I have seen Dark Shadows before, but the hyperfixation has returned. I found out that the entire soap opera series from 66 to 71 was on Tubi. You better believe I was marathoning that. And a common theme that I noticed throughout watching the show was that Willie is treated like absolute garbage. So today, I'm going to be talking about why Willie Loomis deserves better. Willie starts out as a con man. He and his bestie, con people out of their money. They've been traveling around doing this for a while, and eventually their luck runs out. They run out of money. They end up in Collinsport and cause a little bit of trouble when they first get there. And Willie sees a painting of a woman with some jewels on her. And he finds out from someone that there's a rumor that she was buried with said jewels. And of course, Willie's like, well, maybe I should go take a look-see. So he breaks into the Collins mausoleum to try and find these jewels, and instead finds a secret room with a chained coffin. Now, personally, when I think of a chained coffin, I go, there's something bad in there. Don't go in there. Willie, that doesn't come to his brain. Instead he goes, the jewels must be in there, or there must be something even better in there. So he breaks the chains and opens it. However, instead of jewels, he finds a vampire. Barnabas's hand reaches out, grabs him by the neck, pulls him down, fades to black. 211 is when Barnabas is introduced. Now he was bit on the wrist because can't have a guy biting a guy. Of course not. He's got some issues to start off because obviously he was bit by a vampire, and he becomes Barnabas's unwilling servant, giving him calves to eat, which is gross. He has to help him do so many terrible things, whether it's hide his identity, kidnap someone, keep watch over someone, all this stuff. And Barnabas has a ginormous fascination with Maggie, who looks like Josette, because obviously he can't love someone else, it has to be Josette. So Willie tries to warn Maggie and anyone else who Barnabas decides they're on my hit list now. And because he warns these people, Barnabas beats the shit out of him multiple times with his cane. Obviously it looks really fake, because he didn't obviously really hit him with a cane. But he beats the crap out of Willie, mentally and physically abuses him. Now Julia is I wouldn't say willing, but I don't think she was an unwilling servant to Barnabas. Willie was. And he was treated terribly. Obviously, Julia didn't get much better treatment sometimes, but Willie was beat mentally, physically, just treated like absolute garbage. And every time he tried to warn other people, he was punished for it. At one point, they were trying to catch Barnabas without knowing it was Barnabas. Willie set a trap on accident and was shot 5 times, put into a coma, when it was supposed to be for Barnabas, and instead of helping Willie, Barnabas decides he's going to be the scapegoat. Bitch. When Willie wakes up, he's lost his shit, and he's sent to a sanatorium, where he hangs out for a while, and eventually Julia breaks him out and goes, you can stay out, as long as you be Barnabas' servant, you don't tell on him. If you do, we're going to send you back there and say you're incurable so you never get out. I'm like, that's threats. That's a threat. Then he eventually, befriends the pair. He does stuff for them. He protects their secret. He protects them with his life, right? Even though both of them, mostly Barnabas, treat him like absolute shit. It's a Stockholm Syndrome situation where eventually he, feels like they're his friends, when in reality, they are far from it. Now, this show has a lot of time travel and parallel timelines, and it's like Doctor Who shit. In one of these parallel timelines, it's parallel time 1970, Willie has returned, but he is William this time, and instead of a con man, he is a writer. He wrote a book about Barnabas and the Collins family and wants to write another book. Basically what happens is he finds the chained coffin, because of course he does, and he opens it, and he tries to interview Barnabas for his book. He's got a cross on, he's like, they'll protect me. So he wants to interview Barnabas for a book, use him, for his knowledge. Barnabas doesn't take that very well. He attacks William, as he's known in this time band, and bites him, this time on the neck. However, of course, they fade to black. They don't show shit. They don't even show him moving in. Nothing. It fades to black. He's bit on the neck, though, so that's a difference. Turns him into his unwilling servant again, and this one ends with him dying. Instead of admitting what Barnabas is to Angelique, because Angelique's like, what's going on with Barnabas? He's like, nah, I'll jump out a tower window and die. Bro. And in this universe, he's beat again with the cane, because that's just a common trope for him to be beat up with a cane, right? Barnabas treats him like utter garbage all over again, right? And he still kills himself instead of sharing Barnabas' secret. Now, in the Dark Shadows universe, if a vampire bites you, you do become their unwilling servant. If they call you to them, you go. You listen to what they say. Now, after the first bite, a lot of people try to fight it, but after 2 or 3 bites, you're basically anything they want, you get it. There's no fight. You might fight, but you're turned into jello. Now this actor for Dark Shadows, I believe his name is John. John plays many different characters throughout these different time traveling sections, right? But he only plays Willie on 2 separate occasions. It was the original Willie and then Will or William. The others didn't get bit and didn't turn into slaves, because vampires aren't throughout the entire show. So luckily he escaped, even though technically he wasn't Willie, so it doesn't count, right? Sadly, it happens a 3rd time. This, however, didn't happen in the show itself. This happened in a movie that came out in 1970. It was called The House of Dark Shadows. Willie has a riddle this time, and it takes him to the secret compartment with the chained coffin. He opens it. Barnabas' hand reaches out, chokes him, brings him down. I believe he bites him on the wrist. I'm not really, I don't have a lot of knowledge of the movie, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. He becomes his unwilling servant. He's obsessed with Maggie because he looks like Josette. Barnabas causes some trouble, mentally and physically abuses Willie. In the end, he plans to make Josette his undead bride. Well, Maggie, his undead bride. Alright, and someone comes to stop him and shoots Willie in the back. Rude. Barnabas pulls the arrow out, tries to kill the guy that came to rescue Maggie, hypnotizes him, and goes, "You're going to be the witness to this marriage." Willie, with his dying breath, took the arrow that had fallen to the floor and stabbed Barnabas in the back with it. The hypnotism that had stalled the other guy wore off, and he pushed it all the way through, and Barnabas actually died. And it was pretty cool. In the 1990 revival, it happens again. Willie finds the chained coffin. They love this shot specifically where he opens it, a hand reaches out, grabs Willie and pulls him down. Fades to black before they show where he was bit or how he was bit, because obviously we don't get to know. He's bit, he becomes the slave. He does get beat again. They love to beat him with a cane. It's like, dude, stop. But this time, Barnabas apologizes. In the original soap opera, Barnabas not once apologizes to Willie for anything he's ever done to him. In the 90s version, he actually does. So in the 90s version, Willie is more protective of Barnabas because no one has ever apologized for treating Willie like shit, but Barnabas did. And still a terrible dynamic. Barnabas is still a shithead. But, Willie, I don't know, forgives him? Just a little. Lastly, there is the 2012 Dark Shadows movie. Willie is also in this one, except they changed up the script. Willie doesn't find Barnabas. Barnabas is found by a construction crew. He is the first one to interact with Barnabas once he gets back to the house. Instead of biting him at all, wrist, neck, doesn't even do that, he hypnotizes Willie into doing whatever he wants. This version of Willie is a idiot and a drunk, and really is just lazy. He does whatever Barnabas says, and when they have to dispose of Julia Hoffman's body, and, Barnabas threatens, "Hey, don't tell anybody. You're gonna die." Well, he's just like, wore off. I didn't like her anyway. And is helping him out of his own free will. There's a little bit of protectiveness later on in the movie. But this Willie is just terrible. Now, I'm not saying the other Willies were Einstein. They were not really smart. But this version of him is really, really dumb. And Willie has been depicted as having a drinking problem, at least in the parallel time when he was a failed writer. But this version of him is just, he just does whatever Barnabas wants. At least the other ones fight him. The original Willie fights him on everything. Like, there are some things that he'll just give up and do. But when it comes to Barnabas hurting people he cares about, he will do everything he can to stop him. He will show up when he's not supposed to be there. He will warn them. He will... At one point, Maggie was kidnapped, and he gave her poison because it would be an easier way out. Like, he tries to help in his own way. He's not all mentally there. I think a lot of it was Barnabas. He was never, a straight arrow. There was always, I think, something off with him. But Barnabas just made it worse and made Willie basically insane. In the 2012 movie, he's just a drunk guy who doesn't like people very much and does whatever Barnabas wants. In the 90s version, he doesn't fight Barnabas as much. He's more protective over Barnabas. And in the original series, he's protective over Barnabas, in some points. But he does fight Barnabas as well. He doesn't agree to everything Barnabas says. He does try to fight him in any way he can. And it has cost Willie a lot. In the movie, it killed him. In the show, it caused him to go into a coma. It caused him to go insane. It caused him to deal with a ghost that he was terrified of. I don't know if I'd be able to do that. He's fought against Barnabas himself, Julia, other people trying to hurt Barnabas, and protecting those Barnabas wants to hurt, whether it means warning them, getting in the way, just doing things. He doesn't always agree, which is a positive. He does fight Barnabas, but obviously when it comes to Barnabas, if you fight him, he doesn't take that very well. When I first started watching Dark Shadows, I was like, Barnabas, he's misunderstood. He loved Josette, he never got to have her. Angelique is a scorned lover who took it way too far, made him a vampire, whatever. And the more I watched the show, the more I realized that Barnabas is just a shitty human being. He's just a shitty human being. I mean, the way he treats Willie, the way he treats everybody, and he's obsessed with Josette. Like, of course, those two were in love before he became a vampire, so I understand it. It's a reincarnated lover situation, but he is obsessed. And even when he says he's not going to go near her, I can't go near her, I won't, he does the exact opposite. Goes near her, causes problems. Move on, Barnabas. Love somebody else. Partway through the show, he does become human again. This is when he treats Willie a little kinder, because obviously he's not full-out vampire anymore. But still treats Willie like shit. It's a Stockholm situation because Willie eventually just goes in and believes that they're friends. He protects them, he fights for them, he's there for them, and in reality, he should be running as far away as he can. So, my big point is that Willie deserves better. He is chosen as the servant to Barnabas at least 3 times, twice in the show, once in the main timeline, once in a parallel time, and then once in the movie from 1970. And then, of course, you have the remake in 1990 where it happens again. And then you have the 2012 movie where it happens again. And Willie is always the choice, He's the one that becomes the unwilling servant. And I'm just like, maybe let someone else do it. Or let Willie get the last word. Like in the movie, he stabs Barnabas. And that is awesome. I wish he would have gotten the final blow. However, he did help with the final blow, so it does technically count. And I just think, he deserves better. He deserves to have happiness. Comment down below what you guys think. Do you think Willie deserves better? Because I think he does. Yes, sir. But this, it's the same opinion as Renfield. Renfield deserves better, too. Willie is Barnabas's Renfield. The first season of Dark Shadows where Barnabas is there, it's based a lot off Dracula. And his fashion and the way he talks and, his suaveness, he's basically Dracula and Willie is his Renfield. I do believe Renfield deserves better as a whole. I don't believe vampires should have unwilling human servants. I feel like that's just cruel in many ways. Vampires can have humans that help them out, but honestly, I think it should be a choice. A human finds out what they are and wants to help them, or, chooses to help them because they saved their life, or something like that, instead of being forced into a life of servitude where you're forced to hide bodies and, you know, lure victims and do all these terrible, terrible, mentally taxing things and just be mentally and physically abused. And it's just terrible. Which is why I loved Renfield, the movie, because Renfield murders Dracula, and that was justified. I mean, Nicolas Cage was a great Dracula, but come on. I think he deserved it, don't you? Yes. Well, comment down below if you believe Willie deserves better, if there's another character that you think deserves better from vampire movies, or in general. I know I specify I'm very into vampires, so vampire movies is my specialty. Comment down below. I had a lot of fun with this. I love doing ranty videos because I just stand and talk, and sometimes I just like to stand and talk. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be back again next week, and have a good day.